Okay. Is the money good there?
Managed to pass the other three, then failed financial accounting 2. I think there was a lot happening at the time. We'll still have to do all 4 again the following year.
Huh? What?
And that's one of the most challenging things about this course. In varsity, I'm just focused on my examinations. I'm just focused on getting high marks, But what more can you bring to the table? Above your, yes, we know that you're academically smart, but what other qualities are you coming with? We are always feeding the international market with quality chartered accountants. Therefore, the process is rigorous. It will test you to the core, but it's sweeter on the other side. I'll tell you that the process is tough, but it's sweet on the other side.
Come back to Gift Varsity TV. This is Gift Bozekana. Don't forget to like this video. Thumbs up. Let's make sure we get 10,000 likes on this video. Alright, don't forget to subscribe as we are on our road to 100,000 subscribers on this channel. So today I have a special guest. As you know that I always say that in this channel we bring the best so that you can be the best you there at home. Yeah. So today it's all about accounting. We have our CA trainee here. He will just give everything that we need to know about chartered accounting or accounting. But let's get to know him better. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm alright, thanks.
Yeah. Can you just give your background of yourself? Like, where do you come from? High school did you study, and subject that you take?
So I grew up in Mafikeng, so Motswana. Grew up in Maftown, eldest of 3 kids. And I went to primary, Konimenchin Primary School, and then I went to Botswana Commercial Secondary School. And in grade 10, I did your physics, I did your economics, I did your accounting and pure mathematics. It was at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. And then after that, I went to Wits, where I did my Bachelor of Accounting Science degree. And then I did my CTA, Postgraduate Diploma in Accountancy. And then now I am basically just like in my 3rd year of training at Nedbank. So I'm part of the top gang. So yeah.
Hey, hey. Okay. No. Okay. You said you were doing the physics, the what, the
Physics, the economics, and
economics,
the
accounting, and
the
mathematics.
Yeah, because I think one of the basic requirements when you go to a university is that you must have a strong background in English, right? You must have a strong background in pure mathematics or core mathematics, it's known. Like accounting, you can do it in high school, but it's not really a need for you to study accounting in varsity. You can still do your pure sciences and still register for a Bachelor of Accounting Science degree. So just doing accounting is just an add-on. It's not a need, because when I went to Wits at the time, I matriculated in 2016. Good marks.
Let's go to your marks. Let's go to your marks.
I'll just say that I passed with distinction and the average was above 80.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, guys. All right.
And then at Wits at the time, I think there's this thing called the APS score, right, which is the minimum points that you need to get from your matric certificate so that you can be able to enroll at Wits. So I think at the time, the total aggregate was around 42 or 43. I'm not sure. So I met those requirements.
So
and then distinctions with distinctions there and there. And then I was funded by Tutuka Bursary Fund, so which is a specialized bursary that only funds CA stream degrees. So if you're doing any accredited degree by SICA, then the Tutuka Fund will be able to fund you. So they were funding me throughout my undergrad and throughout my CTA. Varsity is a bit tricky, so not everything is all good and glamour. I repeated 2nd year. Financial accounting 2 child in my 2nd year. But I always say that, the comeback story to that is that when I came the 2nd year, I was tutoring that financial accounting course. So I normally say that, it's not how you start, but it's about how you finish in everything that you do. So there were bumpy roads along the line, but the aim has always been to become a chartered accountant, and that has always been the goal and the motivation throughout.
So let's go to your first year at Wits University. Okay. Right, you're from high school. which challenges did you come across as a first year student at university? I see that you said you got good marks in grade 12. Then you got to Wits University, one of the best university in Africa and South Africa. So what challenges did you come across?
I think when I came in, like in first year, I think one of the challenges that I faced was that it was the first time really coming to Joburg. So I'm from Mufftown, and I'm coming here to Joburg for the first time to study. So it was just like navigating through the environment, navigating through like learning Brampton. You know, when you're growing up in Mufftown, you always say people saying that, hey, you know, Joburg and Tanzania Kala when like it's very hectic, the crime, everything. So you come with this preconceived notion of what you've been told, right? But the only way you can actually learn and immerse yourself into the environment, which was like Wits the first time coming in there, was to learn to be adaptable and just to see what's going on. Fortunately for me, I did not have severe financial challenges because when you enter this with like good marks, you know, I qualified for that 10K discount that they waived with my first payment and stuff like that. So that was sorted, right? And then when I went to classes, like there was this lady called Michelle, love her so much. She was the caretaker for Tuka first years at Wits. And then she came to give a speech in our, I think it was our first week of lectures, saying, guys, if you have applied for Tutuka, you've written your NBT, test and everything like that, please come see me, you know, after class. Then I was just like, okay, fine. I was going to be funded by Ernest and Young at the time, but it was giving like more of a partial bursary and I needed like a full on bursary, you know. So then I went to chat to Michelle after class and then I gave her my marks, I gave her my ID and everything. I said like, Pamelo, these are excellent marks and there are spots available. So that's how I actually got to Tuka, you know, to be funded throughout. And first year you get here, you know, people come from different backgrounds, bro. Like, you know, you come with your first year, and they're driving, you know, your father's dream car, and it's their first car, you know what I mean? So it was all about, you know, ensuring that I recenter myself, and I remember that, you know, ko gae re na le gore, you know, malapa ga a lekane, and you must definitely know where you come from so that you mustn't put undue pressure on yourself as a first year, you know. I knew that, okay, fine, funding was sorted. The only way I can, you know, get myself to a point whereby I'm proud of myself was to pass and get good marks. And that was my sailing for first year, basically. Yeah.
First year. Now let's go to second year. Second year of accounting now. How was it?
It was intense. Oh my goodness. But it was intense. I think at Wits, you know, they introduced most of the fundamental principles in second year. So when you do like this accounting course, like in first year, there are those like generic courses that you do as a general BCom, you know. But then there's you start to take a little bit of like auditing, you start to take a little bit of like tax, a little bit of finance, a little bit of accounting, which is financial accounting. So in second year, that's where they really cement the principles, right? And that's where you're fully introduced to all of your four majors in a way. Because this course, you have four majors. They are not just semi courses, they are full on major courses, you know. So you've got your financial accounting at Wits, you've got your auditing, you've got your taxation, and you've got your financial management and cost accounting. So that's where now all of these principles are being introduced. It's an influx of knowledge, it's an influx of content that you just need to take in, right? Um, Managed to pass the other three, then failed financial accounting too. I think there was a lot happening at the time, family stuff. You know, my family got involved in a car accident. So there's all of that psychological turmoil that took its toll on me. But then, yeah, that's when like I was distracted a bit. But I think for me, I always console myself by saying that, you know, yes, I did fail financial accounting two initially, but then I passed the other three, right? And in the second year, I just had to repeat that one course that I had failed, which was financial accounting
So you
two.
couldn't go to third year.
You can't, it blocks everything, bro. So in Wits, like, so there's this thing called like prerequisites. So for you to go to your second, you need to pass your first year courses. For you to get to your third year, you need to pass all of your third year majors. Instead, like all of your second year majors. So you can't say that because you failed accounting, you can go on and continue the others. It's a waste of time because the way the course is structured at Wits is that when you get to your third year level, you'll be doing your strictly four majors only now, you know, and they're at a third year level. And you need to pass all four to go to CT, which is your honors, which is your fourth year. So you can pass one, you can fail one and pass three. You'll still have to repeat all three, my brother.
Yeah?
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that, you can carry this one over, then carry. No, you don't do that. That's how the course is structured. Because when you
Come again, you said you can pass 3
and fail 1, you'll still have to do all 4 again the following year.
Huh? What?
And that's one of the most challenging things about this course or this degree at Wits, right? You don't just think you're gonna pass all 3, then carry that one over. No, it blocks everything when you get to that level. Same thing happens when you get to like your CTA. You need to pass all of your 4 majors in CTA to pass the course. You fail 1, you pass 3, you come back for all 4. That's how it's structured. So you need to always have your ball across all of the 4 courses. And then, coming into my 3rd year, now I was thrilled, I was encouraged that, what, I just passed this 2nd year because it was been holding me back. 3rd year came, that was when COVID hit. So I think when we went home, that's when they were trying to make us do things virtually and stuff like that. I think the most challenging thing there was adjusting to working at home. Because you always go home to relax as a student, right? When recess starts, you go home, you go to relax. But now you have to carry all of your courses, all of your books, all of your material to go back home at the time. But then I think the drive was there. I think me and my friends, we told ourselves that if anything, come high and hell waters, if anything after this lockdown, at the end of the year, we must have our degrees. That was the most important thing that we did. And we were focused to that, if everything come high, low, after this COVID on the other end, when the year ends, we must be graduates at Wits. And within my circle at the time, we all passed and went to our CTA. Now, CTA, that's where things get tricky. Because in CTA now, you're dealing with still your 4 majors, but now the jump is at a level whereby now they are testing whether can you see the interlinkedness within the courses. So now you are mostly not just tested, you are sitting for an accounting exam, auditing exam. No, that is this integrated. This is when you now start writing your integrated papers, and that's where the challenge is, because now they need to test the technical acumen for you to connect the courses across the 4, because they do talk to each other one way or the other. Right.
Okay.
And then CTA, one of the hardest years in my academic career. One of the hardest years, because now you're dealing with so much volume, and you need to apply yourself. In almost like all of the scenarios are mostly real life scenarios. They are adapted from what's happening from around the world, from whatever the economic status is in the country, and it was tough. I always say that it's all about the mental game when you get to honors. It's all about your mental strength, your mental perseverance. Because imagine you're writing your first few tests, we call them test 1s in CTA, you fail everything dismally. Not just failing to, you fail dismally, and you need to keep it moving, because the end of the game is for you to get to that final exam, final examination in H2. And all of these exams are quite difficult. They need you to apply yourself. They need you to have your self-discipline. They need you to, don't just go by the wind, my brother, because you will definitely not make it.
All right. No, even though I'm not an accounting student, I'm sure that they want to know, like, how did you individually study each and what is each all about? All right, let's go individual courses now.
So the individual courses that will become your bread and butter is, like I've said, auditing, taxation, financial accounting, and finance, financial management, and cost accounting. Listen, I've always loved financial accounting. It came easy to me and it resonated with me. And hence I tutored financial accounting, financial accounting 1 as well as financial accounting 2. But I think for me, it was most of those things were like, it just made sense. And I would say that that's when my high school accounting foundation came through for me, because I'd already, gotten used to the terminology and stuff like that. So it was one of those concepts, as much as they were introducing new concepts and they were undoing certain concepts that I learned in high school, get to it like, no, that doesn't exist. You know what I mean? I'm just like, okay, cool. But financial accounting came easy for me throughout my years. Taxation, it was a love and hate relationship, right? Because you're dealing with the law, because your textbook is literally the income tax legislation of South Africa.
So how do you study them? Like, let's go to
I'll get into that, like financial accounting, to go back to it, it's all about knowing your basics and knowing your frameworks and your structures. It's all about knowing, the income statement in its fullest form, knowing the statement of financial position in its fullest form, knowing the statement of cash flows in its fullest form, and knowing your notes to the financial statements. Once you know the individual structures of these, you basically know accounting, because most of the time you realize that yes, you are calculating numbers that go into the financial statements, so you can understand the know-how to calculation, but if you don't know what goes where within the structure, then you're a child, and it's all about practicing. I just practice like crazy. Like when they give us those tutorial packs and everything like that, I made sure that all of the levels I did them. That's why I studied like financial accounting. But because also I was tutoring it, it kind of like made it easier for me to re-cement the principles, because I was always like tutoring it.
So yeah, as a tutor, what do you think most students, many students are struggling with financial accounting?
Okay.
They call it FINEC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
FINEC,
they respect that course so
Yeah,
much.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what do you think? Where is the mistake? What do they do that is wrong?
I think for me, back in my time, what I used to observe was just understanding how to break down the scenario, because most of your answers are within your scenario, right? So once you know how to break it down for yourself and how to extract the relevant data, that made it easier for me. But one of the biggest things that I used to, tell my students at the time is that if you draw your timeline, and you put everything where it belongs in the timeline to keep track, what is happening within. Let's say like it's property, plant and equipment. When was it purchased? For how long has it been depreciated? Was there revaluation that has been done? What are the deferred tax consequences within that? So if you have this timeline for yourself, there's no way you can mess up the stuff that is in between. And I always say that start with the easy marks. We always want to go there and go for the most difficult marks. No, start with the easy marks, guys. Like you don't, because it's a build up. Aim is for you to show competency at a 50% level. So you always find out that within the way they structure these scenarios and stuff like that, 30%, that's like your basic level marks. Meaning that if you focus on your basics, you already have 30 marks or 30% of the paper. Then medium goes to like, 40, like I think 40 to this is 60. Now that I'm just like using a hyperbole, like just like illustrating. Those are the more medium marks, then you can apply yourself more. So I realized that some students, they focus on trying to get the more difficult marks without getting the easy marks. For an example, when they say that, prepare the consolidated statement of financial position, for example, that's the required, right? Easy mark will be draft the template of the statement of financial position, the name of the company, statement of financial position for the S at a point in time, which is the year end, for the year end, those type of things, you put them down, your descriptions, your respective comparative years, the currency that you're using. Already you've got 2 marks from presentation just by doing that. Now you build it on. You plug it in. Now you plug it. So okay, fine. There's a PP asset here. Where does the PP asset goes? Non-current assets. That's where it goes. PPE line item. You go. You calculate your working. That speaks about the PPE. From your working, you transfer the final answer to your statement of financial position. You reference it. Some students never reference their workings. How will a marker know where you're working is if you don't reference it, if you just see a number there? So referencing your workings is important. Yeah, those are the things that I kind of like took when I was tutoring. Yeah.
Let's not waste time. Let's go to other modules that
Yeah.
just how
Taxation.
to study them, make sure that
Taxation is all about same thing, framework, because it will deal with mostly like the normal tax payable of either a company or an individual. How do you get there? You need to get your income tax, you need to get your taxable income tax. How do you get there? There's an entire framework that comes after that. Do you know that framework at heart? I would normally say that if I can wake you up in the middle of the night, will you be able to regurgitate, that particular framework? And that's where it also starts. And it's also about like, taxation. I learned it through doing all of the tutorials within my tutorial pack. I mean, all. People normally say, where do you have the time? Well, I'm in school. This is the only time that I have, for school and stuff like that. I'll get to my leisure times at the end, but that's how I studied taxation. Auditing, it was the most difficult courses I've ever done in my life. It just did not click. It just didn't make sense to me, but how I overcame it, through consultations. Like even that lecturers knew my name, bro. That's how I was like literally like, guys, how do I do this? Like I would actively do all of the tutorials within my tutorial pack as well, and then go and consult on those tutorials to get more tips from them. I realized that with auditing, sometimes you might never know what you need to put down up until you've done a similar exercise with that, So my summaries were mostly came from me doing the tutorials and looking at the memo and seeing what was the most common amongst all of them. Those are my basic marks. Then I built up on top of that too. But for that one consulting, it's what saved me. I can't even say put it otherwise. It's hard work. Doing all of the tutorials, they are tedious, yes, but also consulting through that. Financial accounting, not financial accounting, financial, like finance, financial management and cost accounting. It's one of those things where, like, I enjoyed certain topics within the course, not like everything, but certain topics. But then, what was a game changer for me was really being up to speed with what is happening within the market, because that's what you technically do. That's where you do your strategy stuff. That's where you do your, work calculation. That's where you do your valuation. That's where you do all of these things. So, if you have a good understanding of the macro and micro economic landscape of what's happening, it becomes easier to understand the concepts that are being tested there. So I think for that one, what really helped me was like being up to date with with the news, with the economic news of what's happening in South Africa, what's happening, let's say like in the Middle East, what's happening there, how is it affecting us from a South African perspective, if we're having droughts in like Zambia, how are they affecting the commodity prices, just like having that basic link of trying to define this was happening in the economy, and it just broadened my reasoning capacity when I was dealing with the scenarios itself. Yeah.
Okay. Which one is the last one? We covered everything.
All
All right. So just a smaller advice, like you as a student, like how did you make sure that you remain disciplined
okay.
and you make sure that even if you failed in second year, it does not happen again,
Sure. I think for me, COVID hit, right, when I was doing my third year. So the discipline came from really having a detailed study plan that I followed religiously. I prefer to put in all of the hours during the week so that my weekends may be a little bit freer, right? And like for when I look back, like my sessions, my day was split into four chunks of study stuff. It was the morning session. I'm a morning person. It was the morning session. It was the mid-morning to noon session. It was from the noon to early evening. And it was the evening to night session. And that's how I split up my studying and my practicing. So in the morning, I'll be focused on absorbing the content, like going through the lecture videos and stuff like that, learning the content. And then in the afternoon, evening, that's when I'll be doing like the practice questions, the tutorials, and that's when it came in. Discipline comes from how bad do you want this, and how bad do you want this, and your answer to that will determine the level of discipline you're going to put into academics. So I think from my side, understand that there are certain people who grasp concepts very easily than you. They exist. So how is your learning style, and how do you learn as a person? Are you the type of person whereby you need to do an exercise 3 times to understand the principle, or are you the type of person to do an exercise once and you know the principle? It just depends on how you learn as a person. It doesn't make sense. Like for me, I learned in the very early years of my academics that I'm one person who doesn't get stuff at the first glance. I knew that I'm the type that needs to put in the work to understand what another person might just grasp, in one session. So I had to understand how do I learn and what works for me, and I put in the hours based on that.
Okay.
That's how I tackle things.
All right. Guys, you heard it. Putting hours, hard work, consulting, and many more. Let's get to the world of work now, right? Let's not delay those who want to see the perks of studying accounting, because at the end, all of us want to make sure that we are studying something that is going to assist us. That's the aim of this channel. I bring people and I bring professional so that they can just clarify to us how is it the field of work, how to make sure that let's get to CTA. And so what does it take to become a chartered accountant?
Okay, so what does it take to become a chartered accountant? My goodness, now I'm looking back and I'm just like, oh, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
So for you to become a chartered accountant, you need to study a SICA accredited degree. Not all degrees that offer accounting are accredited by SICA, right? So that's what first you need to do, that when you enroll from high school, make sure that what the degree, the accounting degree that you're applying for, it is SICA accredited. It's typically a 3-year degree, and then you're gonna have to complete your honors or your postgraduate diploma in accountancy, right? And then after passing your CTA, we call it CTA, there's 2 more board exams that you need to write. It is the initial test of competence, and then it is the assessment of professional competence. So the ITC, initial test of competence, you write it immediately after CTA in January, which is effectively your first year of training, right? So let me just also like track back and say, so there are 2 ways you can do your training, right? You can do your training in public practice, which is TIP, which is like your auditing firms, right? Or you can do your training in TOP, which is training out of public practice, which is typically your businesses, your financial services sector, your multi-choice, your old mutuals, your Nedbank, like your momentums, like anywhere that is not audit, we normally categorized into top, which is like business and commercial type of vibes, right? So how did I make my selection of what to do, of work to train? I think from my side, I went to like, what do they call? I went to vacation works in audit firms in EY, and I went to a vacation work also like within like your First Rand and your Nedbank, right? And then for me, I already knew that I have a love and hate relationship with auditing, but I just did not want that to be the sole like factor that makes me decide not to go into audit. So I still wanted to see what do they do on their normal life. Is this something that I would want and stuff like that, you know? And then I went to banking, which is like I went to the First Rand summer school, and then I went to the Nedbank case, which is normally your VEC work in a way. So then I realized, Guti, for me, I was comfortable with specializing in finance from the get-go. And that's one of the other, considerations you're going to have to make, Guti. Are you comfortable specializing in finance immediately, or are you not sure where you want to end up after CA? I would say that if you don't know where you want to end up, after the CA qualification, it makes sense to go into audit, because then afterwards you've learned so much about industries, you can easily pivot to wherever you want to go. But if you're comfortable that you know what finance and big financial is what you want to do, then top makes sense, or business makes sense, right? And that's how I made it for me, purely because of that. Um, yeah, and that's why like I made my decision to go on about it. And then obviously I went through the top route. Therefore, I'm training with Nedbank. Went through my first year of working now. And what I really like about Nedbank is that, within their CA training program, like they give you the full January month to study for your ITC. And then, within your February, that's when you do your month-long induction, meaning that you've got a full month where you're being inducted as to what is a bank and what is Nedbank and what is the training program all about to you. So you can imagine that you are being, professionally upskilled. You are being, upskilled in your soft skills. They're bringing like experts to come and shape you, to help you bridge the gap from CTA into the working world, so that when you start your rotations in March, you are as professionally competent as you can be, based on based on the technical knowledge that you have, which is super strong in January. And that's how I went on to choose my articles. Will I choose them again? Yes, I would. I think, it's always good to be at the forefront of transactions that are shaping the economy, or the economies that we live in by. Currently, right now, I'm rotating in Nedbank Energy Finance, whereby we focus on the renewable energy projects, that are putting electricity into the grid and stuff like that. Yeah.
All right, guys. All right, okay. So you chose to work in bank now, in banking. Okay. There's a lot of accounting terminology that I probably know you as an accounting student, you will really, really understand. So, like, I like asking this question, like, Guti, like, Is the money good there?
Wait.
Just being an accountant and training.
I'll give a very generic answer to that. Listen, aim is to become a CA. You know, how you going about that, to me, it doesn't matter. It depends on you as a person. Whether you go through via the audit route, whether you go through the banking, the financial services and all of other companies, aim is to become a chartered accountant at the end of the day. And both routes will get you there. Is there money in chartered accountancy? I believe there is. Yeah. I believe there's money in chartered accountancy. But most importantly, what I normally say is that, the CASA designation gives you a key. It doesn't open all of the doors. It gives you a key that unlocks wherever you want to go. So depending on how you use the CSA designation will determine your success in monetary terms, is when I put it, going forward. So, we find CAs now that are changing the narrative of what is typical CA is. We find CAs now in HR operations. We find CAs in strategy. We find CAs in audit. We find CAs in like areas where we wouldn't typically see a CA, because that's what we're trained to do. We're trained to be highly strategic thinkers. We're trained to be adaptable more than anything and be able to apply ourselves, And that's what I would say about the money thing. There is money, but it depends on what you use as a key. All right. And I think going back to, I spoke about, ITC. Now, when you get to your second year of training, if you've passed your ITC, you would then write your assessment of professional competence, which is your board 2. Whenever they say board 2, that's what they mean. And really they are really testing your professional acumen. They know that yes, you've been working now by the time you write your final APC, you've been working now for more than 18 months, right? So what have you learned professionally now from the world, from your training office? Now they are testing your professional acumen. Are you professionally competent? That's what they're trying to test basically. And you're gonna have to enroll with like a board course, either your APT or your UCT. I chose APT because I chose also APT within my ITC. And it is a roller coaster because now you're really being challenged to think like a CA. They are testing whether can you reason like a CA, and they are trying to say, okay, fine, are we comfortable enough, to say that Pamelo is competent, therefore Pamelo is worthy of what CSA designation. Mind you, the CSA designation is one of the top CASA designations in the world, the South African one, mind you. So we are always feeding the international market with quality chartered accountants. Therefore, the process is rigorous. It will test you to the core, but it's sweeter on the other side. I'll tell you that the process is tough, but it's sweet on the other side.
So how do you like before I close, I just wanna ask, like, how do you apply for this top firm account? Make sure your CV is good and whatever.
Yes,
You are more employable and stuff.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So guys, the world of work is really evolving in terms of who they hire and for what purpose they hire you for, right? So one of the things that I normally use is that, okay, fine, do I resonate with the culture of the firm? Do I resonate with the culture of the company that I want to apply to? Normally companies, they've got their values, they've got the things they live by. They've got a specific flavor to which the company operates in, and that's where I'll go back and say, go and apply for the vacation works. Go and apply for as many vacation works as possible, because that's the only way you're gonna get a real feel of what the culture is within that company, right? And some people, normally say that, nah, in varsity I'm just focused on my examinations, I'm just focused on getting high marks, but what more can you bring to the table, above your, yes, you know that you're academically smart, but what other qualities are you coming with? Were you part of your rescom? Were you part of tutoring, stuff like that? What were you doing outside your academics? I'm not saying that people must go and fill up their schedules with unnecessary things. No, just choose one. If it can be like, even like, volunteering, at the vegetable garden adverts, because I did that at some point. That just shows a little bit of effort of what are you doing outside your academics, because the world of work wants all-rounded people. Yes, you must be academically strong, don't get me wrong, it's very important, but above and beyond that, What other skills are you bringing? What were you doing that harness your leadership skills, your soft skills, your project management skills and stuff like that? That just shows the recruiter that, you know what, this person is getting good marks, and above and beyond that, they are able to have a life outside of that. So having these small initiatives, I knew that, mine was the CSR like initiatives, community development. Mine was tutoring wherever I could. And those for me were enough, because I don't want to bombard my skills because accounting is very tricky and difficult. It's gonna demand your time. So what are you doing to expand your soft skills, right? Um, Employable again, how do you apply for these things? So you'll see that there's normally career fairs in universities and vets. So are you actually going there to just get the freebies and stuff like that, or are you going there to really understand their company and their value proposition to you? And that's how I made my determination about which way to apply and what to do.
Okay. Well, guys, due to time constraints, any last word you wanna tell to every student in South Africa? They're watching you us all over parts of the country now. What can you say to them? Word of inspiration, motivation, and that?
I think from my side, it will be, what is your biggest why? As you're going through this accounting degree, what is your biggest why? Because at some point, you're going to have to, the course will become so challenging that you would want to call it quits. But what is your sole motivation behind you doing this? For me, was to leave Kasi Braya. So that was my main motivation. And the other one was my biggest were my two younger siblings, that I want to achieve this, not only for my personal gain, but to ensure that they are also equipped with a big brother who's a CASA, who's going to be able to open doors for them, if they want to network, I'll be able to have that pool and stuff like that. And the CA journey is very tricky. It's mentally taxing. So your support system is also important, and I can't, overly disregard that about my family, and the support that they gave me throughout the entire journey. I mean, they were going through varsity through me because I'm the first child to go to varsity and stuff like that. So they don't know what to do, but they were there holding my hand throughout. So it's your support structure, it is your discipline, and it is your mental health. We don't speak about that a lot. So for me, in third year and in CTA, I made a point that on Sundays I'm free. Sundays I tried by all means not touch a book because those were the only time that I had to myself. And I use that for that's when I talk about leisure. We're either going to a market, neighbor goods market, or either going to, lunch with my friends or having a cook in, but just generally just relaxing. I chose to use my weekends for relaxing, doing things that I love. In varsity I used to groove. I was grooving. So weekends for me I only groove, but I couldn't groove if I didn't finish my tasks. I didn't groove if I felt like I didn't study enough during the week. Hence I preferred to push as much as I could during the week, so that over the weekend I'm free enough to link up with my friends, which was how I, disassociated from always thinking about academics.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time here on Gift Varsity TV. Accounting students is possible. He's currently a CA trainee in Nedbank. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a nice comment and subscribe as well on our road to 100,000. Bye-bye.